Several property managers were scolded by him. Naturally, they were very dissatisfied, but they still said politely, "Excuse me, gentlemen, this matter is not in the management of our property." After that, they got into the battery car and drove away. Elaine laughed more wildly on the terrace. "Ha ha ha, Noah, now you can't help it. Let me tell you, my green hats will always be hanging here, and I will buy another 20 of them tomorrow. Here, I let you open your eyes every day and you can see a lot of green hats fluttering in the wind, fluttering with the wind. You. Noah was so angry that he almost vomited blood. At this time, Charlie and Claire also went to the terrace on the second floor and took a look. After they figured out what was going on, they both looked at each other helplessly and sighed. Claire couldn't help sighing. "Charlie, you said it's not good for Mom to do this." Charlie smiled indifferently, and said, "In fact, there is nothing good or bad. Didn't they treat us too much before? When they knew what problem we encountered, they also desperately mocked us. You forgot that at the Thompson sales office, how did the family laugh at us? And when your studio opened, didn't they come to mock us too? Now that Mom wants to ridicule and go back, I think it's just to use her own way to treat her body. In the final analysis, it is their own responsibility." Noah and Mrs. Wilson almost collapsed because of Elaine's anger, but they couldn't do anything about her behavior. They turned their heads away in anger. Noah cursed as he walked. "Damn Elaine. Let me find a chance in the future. I must kill her." The old Mrs. Wilson angrily said, "Don't talk about her for now. Tomorrow we will quickly take the bitch Horia to get rid of the bastard in her stomach. This is really a great shame that we have never seen in the Wilson family in a century." Noah also had a look of hatred, gritted his teeth and said, "Mom, don't worry, I will go with her tomorrow." Back home, both Harold and Wendy had just gotten up. They were in the living room, waiting for Horia to cook, hungry. Horia had some money left from selling coffee machines last time. Today, she intends to ease the family relationship, so she bought a lot of fresh abalone and prepared an abalone feast for her family. This pile of abalone cost thousands just for the ingredients, and to Horia, it was indeed bleeding. When the old Mrs. Wilson saw Horia buying back abalone, her first thought was that she was very happy. After all, she had good food to eat at noon. But then the Lady Wilson thought of a detail and asked Horia, "Where did you get the money to buy these abalones?" Horia lied and said, "I borrowed a little money from a friend while playing cards and never paid it back. Isn't this tight on hand? I asked her to come over." Old Mrs. Wilson nodded gently, and said coldly, "Transfer all the remaining money to WeChat to my account. From now on, all the money in this family will be managed by me, including the money that Mr. Wu invested in our Wilson Group. I also have the sole discretion to decide. If anyone dares to hide private money behind my back, sorry, they can leave this house." Horia immediately laughed and said, "Mom, don't worry, I will transfer all the remaining money to you, and I won't keep a single cent." The old Mrs. Wilson looked at Noah and said coldly, "Noah, you hid more than 10 million private money before, but you didn't want to give me life or death. In the end, all the money was lost, so from now on, if you dare to hide it again private money, don't blame me for being an impolite mother, have you heard?" Noah nodded his head and said respectfully, "I know Mom, don't worry, I won't dare to hide private money anymore." The old Mrs. Wilson nodded in satisfaction. It seems that the crisis of the Wilson family has helped to consolidate her position as the ruler of the family. Soon, Horia brought up a lot of various abalones. Abalone feast. Naturally, every dish is abalone. Steamed abalone vermicelli, as well as braised abalone sashimi, abalone soup, etc. Because the ingredients are good, every dish tastes very good. However, at the dinner table, Horia herself had an ordinary bowl of Yangchun egg noodles, and she did not eat any abalone. Wendy was a little surprised, and asked her, "Mom, why don't you eat abalone? Why don't you eat a bite after doing so hard?" Horia is ashamed to tell the truth. How can she tell her daughter that she cannot eat seafood because of various venereal diseases? So she can only say, "My stomach is not very good these past 2 days, and I can't eat seafood." Noah had just received a huge stimulus at Elaine's place. He was so angry that he glared at her and said coldly, "As long as you want to eat seafood, UFC King serve it too. What the HLL do you do with this seafood? Is that for the wild species?"